James is going to be talking about this while he drinks his strawberry milkshake and eats his yam with the shiitake and garlic fried up there. I'm going to eat a sausage, and I'll show you where this, I haven't returned the other movies yet, so I'll show you where I would stick it in the stack, just judging by like having listened to it a little bit while James was watching it. So I'd think it would be there. But there we go. So James will talk about that. And this is what I look like today. It's pretty much the same. My weight's not going anywhere. James says I am looking more toned, so he thinks that, because honestly, I work out on that thing, and today I checked it has a calorie, how many calories burnt thing, so I pressed that button, and it said something ridiculous, like, because I worked out for 3 hours on the thing. It said something like 3,000 and some calories burnt, and I'm like, well, I'm not eating that much. Why isn't my weight changing, right? But James is thinking it's turning to muscle. So
Yeah, see?
there's nothing there. No.
You should see my muscles. I've been told no lifting. I take it seriously.
Well, I do the lifting for him. But anyway,
Some things,
I'm trying to show you. I've still got jiggly. Don't know what's going on there. Because I'm working out, and we went for a walk after I worked out today, so that's a lot of working out. And I wanted strawberry milkshake, and I wanted to give up on this stupid keto diet because there's so much temptation out there for eating actually food that I would enjoy more, like say strawberries or any kind of fruit. And I said to James, well, last night I said, if we go to the Salvation Army to get food tomorrow and they hand me a great big bag of apples, then I'm going to say, okay, well, that's a sign from God that I should be not doing keto anymore. And if they hand me a big bag of broccoli or Brussels sprouts or something, then that's a sign that I should be. Well, I got neither. We got strawberries, and I was thinking, well, that's a sign that I shouldn't be doing keto. But then I asked my angels, and they said, nope, eat the sausage. So that's it. So this is vegan keto sausage that I made, and this time I added, if you've been following me while I've been eating this stuff and making the recipe, changing a little bit at a time, I added some flax to it, and it's actually pretty awesome this way. So I'd recommend putting the flax in. What do you think?
That's pretty good.
Because you tried some last night.
Yeah. I left one. I finished off what Pauline was eating, but not entirely. I left a half a sausage. I was in a hurry. I was going to get ready to. I hadn't told Pauline about it. But I was going back to something like the one of the universities my former professor, he's worked out German, but he had taught at one point in time. He actually, while he was running a German degree program here, almost single-handedly, he took over the Biblical Hebrew program, which would have probably been only 2 classes, 1,000, 1,100 or something like that, but that was an amazing responsibility. So when I'm taking, well, there's really 2 courses that I'm taking right now, I'm taking the equivalent of a university biblical Greek, New Testament Greek. So already at university I've taken Hellenistic Greek, and I guess you can call it patristic Greek. It is advertised as Hellenistic Greek, but if it's the first Hellenistic Greek person we covered was Arian. I believe he's contemporary Alexander the Great, so that's around 300 BC. And then the patristic father, the main one I can remember, the fathers, the main one I can remember was Clemens of Alexandria. So that's after the New Testament. Well, not necessarily after, maybe a little after Jesus. And then I've taken classical Greek too. So now I'm taking just pure and simple biblical Greeks. And I'm taking 2 at one time. So one is introductory, so that's for review, and it's grammar as much as anything else. The vocabulary is fairly easy, but for me, because I've done it already. But and when I take a language, I focus on vocabulary. I'm more interested in that for some reason, particularly with languages like Greek and Latin, where English has taken a lot of words from, tons in the case of Latin. And if you're talking about scientific, especially medical terminology, a lot from Greek. Anyway, yeah, that's why I left the half sausage. It wasn't as though, man, I can't stand it. I like them pretty darn good.
Yeah. Yesterday's was a little different because I didn't put the flax in yet.
Yeah.
But now with the flax,
it's hanging together a little bit more. I can see they're hanging together. So that was the thing that I commented on yesterday, the ones that I ate. Now, I wouldn't want to be eating them by themselves. Cheese, for example, there's, I'd probably go with or something like that. But I can see actually having those in a little hot dog thing. You know, if you made something a little bit bigger, you make hot dogs out of it. See? And, but, you know, some fixings or whatever, so on and so forth. Cheese dogs. Anyway.
Yeah. But the spices are different for sausage, breakfast sausage than for, like, Vienna sausage or hot dogs.
Yeah, I know. I'm just thinking of
but honestly, I don't like the spices for hot dogs as much as the ones for sausage.
I can't stand hot dogs. Really. You know, like what I like about hot dogs, I suppose what I did after I sickened myself on I guess it was raw hot dogs. I don't know why I was doing that. I ate 9 at one time. I'm not exaggerating.
Holy moly.
And that's when I was a kid. I was in Regina.
How did you manage it? You ate the bun too?
No.
Oh, okay.
Just the wieners, I should have said.
Okay.
But it was 9.
That's still a lot.
It's a ridiculous amount. And I don't know why I did it, but it cured me of hot dogs. Or wieners, you know. Like. So I wasn't at all old. It was before we went to Africa, so I was between 5 and 8 years old. And it wasn't necessarily 8 years old. We'll say 7, because I just turned 8 before we left. So, 7 years old.
So you're really getting a dose of the Bible lately. You put yourself through that Greek Bible studies group.
Well, you know, like when we're dealing with Matthew, we were last night, Matthew 4. It's like we're not hammering right through it. For next week, it'll be Matthew 13. But last night I got the gospel truth. Here's the gospel Quranic truth, okay, folks. And so I don't like reading blurbs because Pauline doesn't like me reading them terribly much, but I'm going to read the blurb because it's short, and it's short and en suite and insightful. Well, it's not. Look at one of the most contentious religious sites in the world. It is the most contentious religious site in the world. There's some contentious ones in India. Why is it?
Same reason, basically.
Islam.
Yeah.
I think it's called Ayodhya or something like that. They built a mosque on top of a holy Hindu site. And unlike the Israelis, the Indians took that down. I don't know how much the actual powers that be in India at that point in time were involved behind it, but I don't think they really did much to discourage it. And then there were, this was around 2002 maybe, there were a few, almost call them pilgrims, who had gone up to Ayodhya to celebrate the taking down of the mosque. I think it was the taking down of the mosque, and not so much celebrating something on the Hindu calendar. They were coming back from this celebration on a train, and some Muslims caught them in this train station, burned a car. And the amazing thing about many Muslims is they don't bother to, like when they burn down a church, they don't do it when people aren't in there, or they don't tell the people, in the case of the train car, to get out of there. The whole point seems to be to burn not so much the building, the train car, but the people inside. They wiped out, you check it up on the internet, I don't care if you don't, but you're actually, it's almost required if it's required viewing or something like that. If you're going to flap your gums about Islam or religions in general, Hinduism. In response to the 47 people getting burned in the most horrific fashion in the state of Gujarat, in the next few months, 3,000 Muslims were killed in response. Compare and contrast, the United States lose almost 3,000 people in a horrific set of incidents. 9/11, just a little bit before, and I can remember the left-wingers saying, "Whoa, it's terrible." Now this is terrible. One person wearing a turban was taken out by some wacko. And I don't know. I was checking recently how many people were wiped out in response. How many Muslims were? The guy was a Sikh, or a Sikh, as we tend to mispronounce it. The guy who's wiped out. And, some person was saying, well, it's awful. Yeah, it was awful. But, if there'd been the same measure of response, 3,000 to 47 will estimate 50 to make it, if it's 47, it's even more impactful. I'm going to say 50, round it up. That's, what is that, 60 times? The kill? If the Americans had responded on kind, in similar fashion, it's more than 60 times in the case of India, but I'm just saying 60, I'm rounding down. It'd be 180,000 people. Huge difference, folks. I mentioned that to a religious studies prof, a guy I actually like well enough, but he said, oh, it's different, there's a history there. There is a history with Islam everywhere in the world. People have come to the United States from lots of different places, and Muslims have messed around with people in many of those places. In the case of Spain, for hundreds and hundreds and hundreds of years. So an insightful look at one of the most contentious religious sites in the world. I don't know if it gets more contentious for as long a time. This feature-length documentary film begins with Jerusalem's most, it's not me saying it, I'm reading. This is their own blurb. One of the most begins with Jerusalem's most politically sensitive site, the Temple Mount, or Haram al-Sharif. No, it's called the Temple Mount. We go with the original name. Now, most of the people involved in this, I'm looking at it, directed by Isaac Herzog. There's Alain Jakubowicz, seems French, Polish. Artem Zvev, it's probably Artem, Russian, probably a Jewish last name, Judah Hertz. It's mainly Isaac Hertz, Sam Grunberg. Most of these folks seem to have Jewish names. Right at the end, Mohammed Ahar Khan, or Khan, there's one Muslim involved that's willing to take responsibility for sort of stuff. the Temple Mount, or Ham al-Sharif. The Jews actually, or the Hebrews, the people of Israel, whatever, got hold of the Temple Mount quite late. This is under revised chronology. The Hebrews were involved in that area before 2500 BC. This is not the conventional dating, it's the sensible dating. Okay? The conventional dating is like so many conventional things, just a convention. And it's a silly, stupid convention. So, and then they were in that area continuously from 40 years, roughly, after 1866 BC. They didn't take over Jerusalem until roughly 1000 BC. When did the Muslims take over the so-called Haram al-Sharif, the Temple Mount? Well, it was after 600 AD. After, I believe it's after Muhammad died. So he died 632 AD. Yeah? We'll say 1600 years. Now, 1600 years, folks, is a long time. People have this weird kind of, like if you look off at the distance, you say, oh, that's, like you'll see something moving through the distance. Oh, that's a train. It's barely moving, and then when something's up close, it's just going by. Yeah. People have this idea about things that are way off in the past. Oh, it's just a few days. No. 1600 years before now was like 400 AD. Well, what's significant about that? The English people, the predecessors, the ancestors, the English people, not British people. English people weren't even in England at that point in time. That's how much, and check it out if you don't believe me. Check it out. If you do believe me, check things out. But that's the way it is. They got in there maybe 500 AD, okay, the English people. Angles, Saxons, Jutes, I think there were some Frisians involved. Okay? It's a long time. So the Jews had control over the site of Jerusalem 1600 years before the Muslims got control of it. The Muslims have no historic claim to that land aside from right of conquest. There is a story in preserving the Muslim tradition of night ride or night vision or something like that, where Muhammad was supposed to have been taken on some sort of a quadruped, not quite a horse, not quite a mule, presumably winged or something like that, to the Temple Mount and stuff like that. But he might never have visited there. He was a traveling merchant and stuff like that. No, that's a story. There's no historical. We're depending on one person's account of something that seems very, very mystical, shall we say mythical, and it's supposed to be the third holiest site, religious site for the Muslims. Well, they've got two already. What gives them a right to have a third? And, to claim the top of the mount. They have no right at all. If people here in the New World went and put a religious site, much less a golf course or something like that, on top, let's say, a medicine wheel or whatever the political term is for it, not politically correct political term is for it, there'd be a huge hue and cry amongst left-wingers. Oh man, and you shouldn't do things like that. Things that were done like that in the past, they should be rectified as much as possible. What should have happened in Ayodhya is the Muslims should have said, hey, like here there are recognition rights that we're squatting on, never put quite in those terms, we're squatting on Blackfoot land here. It's at the university. Before an event at the university, they'll say, at the library, I think too, we acknowledge that we're squatting, they don't quite say squatting, but we're on Blackfoot land, or traditional Blackfoot land. That should be the case any place where they're having any sort of thing, in India, in Pakistan too. Okay? in Bangladesh. This is traditional Hindu Indian land. We don't really have a right to be here, and we respect these folks and stuff like that. What they should do with these sites that they've desecrated with their own monuments, they should come and be encouraged strongly, actually. Take all your stuff off, lock, stock, and barrel. We're not going to destroy it, blow it up, burn it up, or anything. You take it and put it some other site. Preferably Saudi Arabia, where this thing started. Where Islam started. Haram al-Sharif. Exploring it from multiple perspectives and using it to examine how the three Abrahamic faiths, Judaism, Islam, and Christianity, have affected the Israeli-Palestinian conflict and world peace. Well, let me put it this way. There are only two Abrahamic faiths. The idea that the Arabs were all descended from Abraham is a silly, silly concept. We've got the Old Testament accounts. We've just been going through them. The Bible gives descendants of Ishmael and his people located in the northern part of the Arabian Peninsula. Not all the Arabs. There are many other descendants of whomever located in the biblical accounts or in the Jewish scripture that are located in the Arabian Peninsula. So to say, as the Muslims do, the Arabs are all descended from Ishmael, and of course they say he was something like the legitimate and or oldest son of Abraham is, when you, if we went out and we're going around saying, like I'm descended from trickster or whatever, or old man or nappy, left-wingers would be all up in arms, and quite rightfully. That's not just appropriation, expropriation of someone else's tradition. That's what Ibrahim, that's what it is in the Muslim tradition. You just can't get over it. You'll get in the Quran, said multiple times, Jewish patriarchs, Hebrew patriarchs, are prophets, Muslim prophets. That is, it's not even appropriation, it's unfriendly. In the Quran, it's inimical, not just unfriendly. You can't go around saying, as is said in the Quran, the Jews have, it's not so much are mistaken in the Old Testament, it's they've lied, they've made up their scripture, and that would be to account for the discrepancies in the scripture. That is not appropriation, it's expropriation. It's unacceptable. Unacceptable. That's 5 accented syllables. Exclamation mark at the end. Thank you. So it should be just the Temple Mount. It's not Haram al-Sharif. That's like if we'd gone and squatted on a medicine circle and called it something like Flunkyville or something like that. Like where we've got our own religious site.
The Coca-Cola Sportsplex?
Yeah, or Coca-Cola religious place. Yeah, like you can't do that. That's a blasphemous kind of name. So one person is saying there, it's not an issue of who came first or which religion came first. That's largely the issue. It's the same issue as we've got here. The Blackfoot were here first. When you go around saying that's not an issue there, it applies everywhere in the world. And you could have white folks here all over the place. We've got a right to this land. It doesn't matter who was here first. It doesn't matter that they were here before 500 BC, before the people, English people even existed, or 500 AD. It does matter. You can't go around saying stuff like that with impunity, and that's what happens here. So they were saying, oh, Muslims are afraid that the Jews are going to undermine undermine the Golden Dome, and which is on the Temple Mount, and the Al-Aqsa Mosque. Well, that's interesting. Because the undermining that's taken place, I think I mentioned this, to Paul, has been done by Muslims.
Yeah, when they dug through the basement.
Well, they were digging out places,
Yeah.
maybe for worship. I don't know.
Yeah.
Digging basements of some sort, cellars. I'm not sure what they. 10 minutes,
3-4.
3-4 minutes. So I didn't find out about this until maybe 2019.
Yeah, well,
Maybe even
I
later.
didn't know what had happened either.
No.
Like, I thought, okay, who was it?
Ariel Sharon.
Yeah,
Yeah.
he was standing on the thing.
Oh, he went
and I
up
thought,
to the
wow,
Temple
that's
Mount.
offensive,
Yeah,
right?
yeah.
But I didn't know what was happening.
Yeah, the way it was presented by the. Go ahead.
No, that's how it was presented.
It was ways
and
presented,
that's-
especially by
that's-
left wingers, that
And
he
I
was
totally
up there
bought it. I didn't
Yeah.
know what had happened.
causing a disturbance, a ruckus.
Yeah.
No right to be up there. Jewish law says anyone of any religious persuasion is allowed to go up there, maybe even to do their own worshiping. Jews should be allowed up there. It's their most holy site. Not their third, their most holy site. And desecrated with these things. Yeah, they're beautiful. The golden dome, or the dome of the rock. That's what it's called. That's why I don't like this being called the one rock. That's not the term. You see, that's a Muslim term. It's the rock, the dome of the rock. No, it's the Temple Mount. Ariel Sharon went up there exercising his rights. Actually, the leader of Israel. What resulted of that was the Second Intifada. But that he didn't start it. He's responding to Muslims digging underneath the Jews' most holy site. We don't know exactly what's underneath there. One archaeologist, apparently, well, I won't say, I don't know if he was, I kind of got the impression he wasn't Jewish. He said that was the worst desecration of any historical monument ever in the history of the world. I don't think they mentioned it here. I'm going to have to watch it again just to make sure. I don't think they mentioned it once. It's a horrible desecration. And instead, they're talking about the possibility that the Jews might do that. The Muslims have already done it. A huge desecration. The Jews actually did a little bit around the edge of the temple. I don't know if I mentioned it to you. You notice how the Wailing Wall is down below the temple?
Yeah.
The Jews dug a little tunnel so people could go there without getting stones thrown on them by Muslim youths. So the Muslims, and this has been a traditional punishment for Jews from Muslim youths. This is long before modern history. You get stones thrown at them by Muslim youths. Absolutely unacceptable for that to happen. So they built a little tunnel, and then their Arab response, Muslim response, big, they're carting stuff off to dumps. And people could see that it had pottery in it and stuff like that. When you destroy pottery, you're destroying sequencing and stuff like that. Absolutely shameful. You folks should be kicked out of Jerusalem for letting that stuff happen. All you Muslims, out of Jerusalem for letting that stuff happen. Absolutely unacceptable. For letting your kids throw stuff from the Temple Mount. You guys should be off of the Temple Mount. The Jews' response was passive. We'll just try and protect people going there. Instead of saying, you guys are off of there. Absolutely.